Design Week started with a little big idea. And the fact that you're all in front of me today means that we have a lot of thanks from the board to recognize the people who have turned this into a reality. So to our sponsors, Contemporary Calgary, the Beltline Urban Mural Project, the Alberta Real Estate Foundation, Public Eye, the City of Calgary Downtown Strategy, Leopold's Tavern, Create Construction, CMLC, HCMA, GEC, and Kumlin Sullivan. And for tonight's event, I'd like to give a shout out to Montauk, Brewsters, Juicy, and Greenery for their in-kind support. This festival, which is ahead of us for the next 3 days, wouldn't be possible without our event partners, who we hope you will be able to meet and engage with over the next weeks. So these are the numerous events, at Contemporary Calgary for many of them, as well as their architecture studios, walking tours that you'll be able to see and meet. And also finally, our team of volunteers who have put many hours of their hard work and planning to turn this into reality. Now, this is Calgary's first official Design Week. For the first time, we're putting a spotlight on talent, energy, and big ideas that have been here all along, many of which are in this very room. Give yourselves a hand in round of applause. From architecture to fashion, public art to storytelling, we believe that design shapes the way we live, connect, and dream as a city. This week is an opportunity for our design community to step forward, to share work with the public, and to dream as a city. Sorry, my notes. To share work with the public, start new conversations, and maybe even spark some new unexpected collaborations. You'll find exhibitions, panels, hands-on experiences, and a few surprises along the way, all curated to celebrate the depth and diversity of design in Calgary. To all the designers, organizers, partners, and volunteers, thank you for saying yes. And to all our guests, thank you for showing up. Your presence here helps us grow this moment into something meaningful. So, welcome to Design Week Calgary. We're just getting started. Great.
Thank you, Ernest. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Darby, everyone in the back, can you hear me?
The mic.
Oh, okay. If I go closer, and then maybe if we can turn up the sound a little tiny bit more, that would be great. Okay, I have to kiss the mic. I'm fine with that. I'm Lourdes Juan. I am co-chair with Ernest of Design Talks. Everything that he said times 100. Also, this is one seriously beautiful room. Thank you so much for coming out and putting your best foot forward. So as someone who works at the intersection of city building, food systems, and sustainable development, I've really come to believe that design, whether it's a public space, a home, or a piece of clothing, has a ripple effect on communities and the planet. So today I'm thrilled to be in conversation with two visionaries who have shaped the way we dress and live, and who, in very different but equally powerful ways, are challenging what sustainable design can look like. Stuart and Karl, a very warm welcome to Calgary. Okay, so let's get started. This is how it's going to work. I'm going to do 5 kind of conversational questions. That's just the 3 of us. And then we're actually going to open it up to, I snuck in 5 questions to audience members. So the audience members that have the questions, get ready at the end. Darby, can you still hear me up there? Good. I'm checking in on you, girl. At the end, we're going to be doing a rapid fire. So In my line of work, I've worked in this industry for a long time as an urban planner and with my own firm at Hive Developments. What I have learned is that designers think they know everything, and they probably do, but everyone has an opinion. So we're going to be including the audience in some of the questions at the very end. But let's get started with the main guest here, the main show. We often think of luxury as excess, but increasingly it's about intention. So when you both think about sustainable design in your work, what makes it still be luxurious? Is it the materials? Is it the craftsmanship or something else? Let's start there. Sure, yeah.
Okay, I'll start. For me, quality of the fabric, natural fibers. I always look to, whenever anything I've ever been involved with, I've always tried to find the most beautiful natural fibers in the world. And that working with, in the early days, some of the best fabric mills in the world. Nowadays, with my new line, Stuart Trevor, which is a clothing brand that doesn't produce any clothing, we find vintage clothes or other people's waste and we turn it into something really beautiful. But primarily my favorite things are finding really beautiful vintage clothes because they honestly don't make them like they used to. And some of these, I brought along a couple of pieces that I hung up on the wall here and people are more than welcome to come and feel them and touch them and have a look at them. Because these were designed 200 years ago for the British military. Not that I don't condone or love war, I love peace, but some of the most beautiful clothing that you get hold of is ex-vintage military clothing. And these are Savile Row tailored in the finest British fabrics, 100% wool with 100% linen linings and things like that. And it doesn't get better than that. So for me, one of the most wonderful things about working with vintage clothes and taking them as the founding principle of what I'm doing now is that vintage clothes are just, so many of them are really, really beautifully made, and the fabric quality is unsurpassable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you see that in your work as well?
I think for interior design and design in general, the quality that we can get out of what we call the word luxury. But what is luxury these days, right? Like it's so overused in many brands. But to work with somebody like Montauk Sofa, which is a luxury brand sofa, and I keep reminding all of our teams, we're kind of like the Chanel of sofas. We're not cheap, but when you buy a Chanel suit, you keep it for your life. And when we sell a sofa, people have it for their entire life. We have people that come back 25 years later wanting a recover of some sort. How can I keep this because it's never leaving my life? We get people saying, I've just divorced. I need a new Montauk because I lost it in the divorce. So it can be more important to some people than a car. So considering what is luxury is one thing. For me, who, I'm really lucky. I can probably have anything in my home I want. Luxury is just time away from people. Sitting on my Montauk sofa alone, right? And I don't want to keep referring to Montauk, but in our world of design, as Stuart said, it's fabrics, it's the quality of those fabrics. A lot of people say, what about the recyclability to make it sustainable? And quite honestly, a pure linen, a pure velvet cotton, a pure silk fabric is a lot easier on the earth than something of a recycled fabric that we'll never be able to recycle again. So it's important that we keep all of that in mind when we look at luxury, when we look at, lately it's been the Birkin bag at the top of all the newscasts and TikToks and everybody.
With a Labubu hanging off of it.
Oh my goodness, what is that? Can we name Labubus? Oh, okay. But in 25 years, you'll be finding them and thinking that they're brought back again. I don't know.
Years.
Yeah.
I did make little leather teddies for AllSaints about 20 years ago out of the scraps from the leather, because I was in the leather factory wondering what we can do with all the little scraps that are left. And so I designed some really beautiful teddies in black leather. They were kind of funny, and we hung them in the window running up to Christmas, and I put wings on them, like little teddy fairy type things, and they looked really, really cool. And then everybody wanted to buy them, so we put a price on them and sold them. But now maybe I'll do that again. But yeah, it was all made from scraps.
Yeah, and then the last thing I'll say about luxury is a limit that varies with everybody within their income, their lifestyle. My interpretation of luxury is very different than my grandniece with 3 children. And luxury to her is, I don't know what, but it could be something much simpler. So we all have our levels of luxury, but usually it's the best that we can afford, that we know we're going to keep. You find a beautiful piece of clothing, you buy a beautiful piece of furniture, and you know that you're going to live with that for a really long time. That's luxury to me.
Yeah, there's a value in that reinterpretation, and that can make it luxurious. Let's talk about that a little bit. So you've both turned forgotten heirlooms into really modern moments. Stuart, you're reimagining really rare vintage pieces like the ones we see behind us. Why is reinterpretation such a valuable tool in your practices? And how do you know something is worth bringing forward again?
Well, I don't know. It's, for me, I've been doing this. I've been taking vintage pieces from my family, grandmother, my mother's friends from her church when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, getting hand-me-down clothes. And I knew the difference then between what was, valuable and what was not great. For me, the whole thing with in the last couple of years, with my new brand Stuart Trevor, where we take vintage pieces that we find, I've been treasure hunting. To me, that vintage thrifting, going into warehouses that are full of military clothing and hunting through, it's a bit like prospecting, like trying to find gold nuggets in the wilderness. And that kind of treasure hunting is the most exciting thing that you could possibly do for me as a person. And there are lots of other people that do that. And a lot of people can't be bothered, and they go into a thrift store and they just look at it all and just think this is all rubbish. But we went into one today, and my gosh, it was unreal. There were so many really, really beautiful things, and there was 6, 7 other designers from Calgary that were there, and they were all finding really beautiful. And there's gold in them there hills, as they say, or whatever, and it's really a beautiful thing to do, to find something that to find beauty in someone else's waste is a really beautiful thing to do. And it was a highlight of my life when I started in this business, and I'm very lucky to say that I still have that passion and drive to find the gold nuggets every single day. Yeah.
I call it the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah.
Right? And we all get in that when we go to an antique fair or a yard sale. It doesn't matter. You hope you find something. I wasn't in Calgary for more than 3 hours before I was in a charity shop. I've posted an incredible patinaed brass bowl on my Instagram because I was so proud of it, and somehow it's getting back to Montreal. I don't know how. We'll ship it maybe through the Montauk stores. It's as big as a sofa, it's quite large. But it made me happy because I don't know where it came from, but I'm making a story around it for me, right? And I'm imagining where it's from and what it was and what it will be. So reinterpreting it is quite incredible. I've had conversations with our creative director back in Montreal saying, can we upholster this particular sofa in an old worn Persian carpet? Like old. Anybody think that's a cool idea? He's here tonight. So if you raise your hand, maybe you can support me on this. But, finding ways to take like old Baroque silk drapes, but let's upholster something in it that's more modern. So it's that juxtaposition of old, new, it's new again because we haven't seen it before. I think one of the things about reinterpretation is the different level or the different ages that we all are. And I have a niece who is obviously much younger than me who says, I really want a shag carpet in my new apartment. And I say, I've lived through it. I'm not helping you get a shag carpet for your apartment. So new things come around, and we find in home decor, I've worked with Style at Home magazines since it started. Every 30 years, home decor comes back again. So we all remember brass from the 1970s, but it was colonial and it was much more of a traditional thing. When it came back, people thought brass was new again, but it was on all the modern things. So it comes back again, but never in the same way. And that's the interesting thing. I've seen some of your clothing online when I checked out your website. It's a t-shirt that I remember, but the way that you've treated it makes it new even to me. So it's what's old again, whatever goes around comes around, but it will never come around the same way. And that's good to know.
Well, one of the nicest things I like about this store is, obviously there's so many beautiful contemporary pieces, and then there's really big puffy sofas and huge overstuffed, cushions and things like that. But in the bathroom upstairs, there's an old workman's bench that's been like with a vice on it. It's all made of old wood, and you walk into this, concrete brutalist sort of bathroom, and then there's this beautiful old piece that's probably 200 years old that was in a carpentry workshop for 100 years, and it's covered in saw marks and things like that. There's also a little black metal box upstairs that's an old safe that and it's open, and all the workings of the safe are there, and it's probably 200 years old. And if I think it was, to me, if it was all this modern sort of beautiful furniture, which is all great, those pieces are what makes this store really beautiful. When I look at the juxtaposition of the old and the new, and that's for me with design as well, is the juxtaposition of the old and the new.
Of course you saw those pieces. Of course.
The ones we really don't sell. Thanks.
For sale.
Well, they make the place.
Yeah, and when people walk into this showroom, I mean, everyone probably thought, well, what was it? What was this bunker of a
I got that
building?
question. Yeah, Mark asked me that question.
Really?
Wait, what was this? So what
we
was
like
it?
we like to tell people many stories that are not true.
We don't know the difference.
The world's most beautiful wine cellar was down here, I'm sure. We had people hand embroidering beautiful crafted things in the 1920s. Who knows?
I thought it was World War II bunker.
See, so there you go. Yeah.
Getting those.
So it's really your story, right? We have an incredible elevator shaft over there that has been turned into our basement garden, like weird things to make people wonder. And that in design is the trick. That in fashion is the trick as well.
Who doesn't love a good shaft?
I think we can do a round of applause for that. And then it'll reset me for the next question. Okay, design is visceral, whether in my world you taste it, Karl, you sit on it, or Stuart, you slip it on. That didn't come out the way I wanted it to. Okay, when you're creating a look or an experience, what role do sensory details play in making something be high-end but sustainable at the same time?
I don't know. I just have a natural feeling when I find something. There's, it's sometimes I laugh at myself because I get very emotional about it, but it's a passion, and the passion drives me to get up every morning and look to find a beauty in something that other people might not. And I've been laughed at when I've done stores that look very similar to this for AllSaints 25 years ago. I would take a store that looked like this and basically add things that I found in a skip, because and people used to ask me, how did you come up with that look? Because I did all the interiors for AllSaints, including the sewing machines. I found them in a factory in India, and they were getting thrown out into the skip. And I said to the guy, are you serious? And he was like, we have all the latest Japanese machines over here. Please don't look at these. These are going to the skip. I bought them and brought them back to London, and we had a place like this, and we had a shaft like that, which was, going from one level to the other. And we made a wall of these vintage sewing machines. And it was around the time that Instagram first came out, and it became an Instagram sensation, one of the first ever ones, with thousands of people would come and get their photographs taken in front of 150-year-old sewing machines. But it was a wall of them, so it was really finding some beauty in something that no one else would believe, for me is one of the greatest joys. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in the design world, nothing is really new. We take our inspiration from things from the past in most cases. There seems to be trends on that, whether furniture becomes very squared off and very angular and very deco, or very rococo and curly, and it depends on curved edges, whatever it is. We've seen the return to the curves in upholstered furniture, round furniture these days, which nobody would have ordered 12 years ago. So what comes around does go around again in very different ways. I think that with sustainability in furniture, it's in part of that is the memory of what it ignites in us when we look at furniture or we go to choose it. And you can look at something and say, is that like what my grandmother might have had? And in that instance, they don't want it. That's just the way people are. The next generation is going to love it. Again, every 30 years, things come back again, and our taste levels come back. So looking at design styles and how they evolve, looking at things like dishware, like all sorts of things in our life, not just furniture, not just tables. There has to be something that ignites you in a memory of form in order to like it, in almost every case.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. What have you each learned about nudging people towards better choices, whether that's choosing sustainable fabrics or rethinking how they furnish their homes? What have you learned about nudging people? How can we nudge people?
All we can do is talk passionately about it, present it to people, and try and push people towards what we believe are the things that we love. I never ever, people ask me about trends. Do I follow trends, or where do you get your ideas from, or all this sort of stuff? I've never ever followed a trend in my life. I've been very, very fortunate. Because I don't want to follow trends. I don't want to listen to what someone else says, and I don't want to look at what other. I kind of like, Oasis have just relaunched in London. Everybody's going on about, all over the world. It's slightly different when you live in London. For me, there's now thousands of people wandering around London with Adidas tops on and bucket hats with Oasis written. And to me, I don't want to be involved in trends. And they say that's a trend. And there's all these other trends that come along. I don't like trends. I've always just kind of done my own thing and picked up on things. And also, I've been very lucky in that I've never really had to work for money men that drive you towards, Time's up.
Your time is up.
And I don't know. It's I can't even remember what the question is now. Karl, over to you.
Nudge people. How do we get everyone in the room to make sure we are choosing more?
Well, yeah, when I started doing this, this sustainable brand, creating a clothing brand out of, a clothing brand that doesn't produce any clothing, just almost 2 years ago to the day, people thought I was insane. They didn't understand what I meant, but they liked the phrase. It sounded a bit like, a company that doesn't own any hotels, or a taxi company that doesn't, taxis like Uber, Airbnb, or whatever. But it was all to do with there's far too much clothing on the planet. We could go 8 to 10 generations without producing another garment, and there's more than enough clothes to go around. If I asked everybody in the room to put their hand up if they've got a wardrobe full of clothes that they don't wear, I believe virtually everybody would put their hand up in the room. But can we stop you from buying clothes? No, because we all love clothes. We have events that we want to go to, and we're being brainwashed by, billion-dollar corporations now, because they want to become trillion-dollar corporations, and they want to force us into buying things that we don't need. So I believe what we should be doing is, meeting up with people, like everybody in this room should swap contacts and arrange to do like a swap or I encourage kids. I have colleges and schools that come in, and I go to some of them, and I persuade them or encourage them to, clear out their parents' wardrobes and their aunts or their uncles or their best friends and swap, because we don't need millions of new clothes. Apparently, there's 150 billion garments in production per year. That's something like 30 for every human being on the planet, including kids in Gaza or kids in Ghana in Africa, or that the parents can't afford to feed them. It's preposterous how much clothing that is being produced. So when I started doing this, people thought I was insane. In the last 2 years, the change has been incredible. People come up to me and they think they're like, "Oh, you're a visionary. You're so far ahead of the time." I'm not the first person that ever thought about this. My daughter, when I laid out the plans for the business, and I wrote down some of the statistics, and one of them is every 7 minutes there's a pile of clothes the height of Mount Everest. If you stack them up, there's a pile of clothes the height of Mount Everest going into landfill every 7 seconds. It's probably every 3 seconds now. And my daughter was like, "Dad, you can't lie." I'm like, "What do you mean I can't lie?" She went, "If that was true, no kid on the planet would shop at, fast fashion brands or sportswear brands or, all these, huge billion-dollar corporations. Nobody would shop there. Everybody would shop vintage." And I'm like, I showed her where the statistics were from, and she was like, "What are we going to do?" I said, "We're going to launch a clothing brand that doesn't produce any clothing."
Obviously. That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Not only for your creativity, but for your stewardship of the planet. Just wonderful.
I'd like to regain my time on that question because I didn't get to say anything.
Time's up.
Time's up, exactly. Oh dear.
Now we need to make change, and that's what the more I talk about it, and that's why people ask me, "Why are you flying all the way to Calgary?" I'm coming here because last 6 months I've been to Adelaide, Singapore, Ghana, all over the world talking about this because I'm very passionate about it, and I do believe that if I do go around, that everybody in this room might think about it and make some positive social or environmental change, because we need to. If there are mountains and mountains, and there are, of clothes going into landfill every 7 seconds, what's the planet going to look like in 50 years old when my kids are my age? We need to do something about it now. So, that's why I'm here. One of the main reasons I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. To address trends, I think that trend makers don't all call each other and talk and share their secrets on what they're thinking. I think there's a vibe that goes throughout the design community, and how interesting, featuring homes in magazines for 30 years, how interesting that every 6 months we get submissions from designers and architects, and all the homes kind of look alike. We only get to show 1 or 2 of those whitewashed homes or ranch style homes or whatever it is. So it shows you that there's a vibe out there with creative types where the stars all align with product as well, I assume, in fashion. And that's how those similarities start to happen. So with trends, we say that we don't follow them because we're not looking for them, but somehow maybe we are involved in the wave of it just because of social, by the way the world's turning, by the way of what we're doing. And let's face it, the word luxury is overused, I believe, because low brands are now saying luxury cashmere, which isn't even cashmere. So when you are able to overuse a word, then you banish it in most cases from reality. Therefore, people like you come in and say luxury is knowing that there's a story behind what you're wearing and that you're doing good as well in the world. So we have that problem through our Montauk showrooms where people question us, say, "I'm spending a lot of money on a sofa. What are you doing to help the world?" And then we're put on the spot. And generally we can say, we have a cash in. So somebody owns a sofa for 20 years and they don't love it anymore, they can sell it back to us and get a little bit of money, and then we can reuse the framing because we're positive that what we do with our products will last a lifetime. So any sofa that gets returned, we can turn it into a love seat, and we probably have the same style in our catalog. So it really helps to be able to say that we could do things like that. Most of our staff don't even own cars. We take public transportation to work. Here's all these little Chanel people working in showrooms, Ubering it to work with a Starbucks, and our guys are with their Yeti thermos and they're on their bicycle, because we're just we sell luxury, but we're kind of normal people in a way, and they pay us very well. We can afford cars. It's just a choice of life for a lot of people, I think, in general. And I know a lot of designers that are like that too, like you.
Well, yeah, I cycle to work every day. I do have a car because sometimes, well, Natalie my partner has one, and I use it now and again. If I go to the factory and need to, bring a load of fabric or bring a load of stuff back, but yeah, I don't, but I live in London, so I don't really need.
And I'm going to break it out and tell everybody. Natalie, his partner, I'm sorry to highlight you, but she's part of a program, part of Design Week. She is nominated for an Emmy for Bridgerton because she's an interior designer and a set designer. Like, how lucky to have you guys here, really. Like I'm actually, to be honest, I'm a little more impressed with this guy because I'm
more impressed with Natalie.
But yeah, you could be more
She's a
impressed with
superstar.
Natalie. But it's so great that you guys are here and we get to meet you and you're part of Design Week, because the last time I did a designer event in this showroom, the designers all said one thing. Everybody flies over Calgary to do their fun things in Vancouver. And here we are with our own Design Week now. And when I approached the director, Shannon, I said, we need to support this. We're a brand that is well revered in the design world. We want to support it. We want to be here to make this work for you. So this year they chose us to have the party, maybe next year something else, but we all look forward to, of course, inviting you back to be inspired as well.
Well, we thank you for having us in
Yeah.
this beautiful showroom that
Thank
was
you.
once a military war bunk, maybe. Okay, last question before we do rapid fire with the audience. In your fields, what design elements or materials are worth preserving? And right now, are there any materials that you're excited about? Tell us a little bit about your current work.
Right now, and you'll see this on Thursday. Last week, there's a little laundry, the first time in 10 years that we've had a laundry in London, and they bought all the latest machine. They have an ozone machine that kind of like cleans clothes without water using oxygen, and they take the oxygen from the air. It's the most sustainable laundry in the world. And they have a machine that lasers patterns onto vintage denim. And we were talking about this last night. It's incredible that denim companies like, Diesel and Levi's, all of them, for many, many years have been spending fortunes and billions of gallons of water and chemicals to make jeans from a raw denim cloth to look like jeans that are 50 years old. Well, we already have a billion, probably 10 billion pairs of jeans that look like they're 50 years old because they are 50 years old. And quite often they might have, the crotch may have worn like these, and I replace the worn bits. And we've now taken these garments and we're putting them in the ozone machine and we're putting them under the laser. And we've just come up with some really cool little Jamie Reed, Sex Pistols inspired Union Jack with it says sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and peace in the UK, anarchy in the world, because there is, and we want peace in the UK. But you can see them all. Is it tomorrow evening when we?
It's tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. So the latest thing that I've been working on is taking things that already exist, like these vintage denim, and making them really beautiful and interesting, and I have videos that show how they do it. It's incredible. The laser burns the pigment, not the actual cloth. So, and the pattern comes out, and it's magical. It's incredible what you can do. We never need to make another pair of jeans again for probably, I don't know, 50, 100 years. I can get hold of tomorrow 10,000 pairs of Levi's in the size breakdown that I want, or Lab Wranglers or Lee's, or there are places that sort them in. You can get Y2K jeans, you can get True Religion or whatever. If you so want those type of things, You can order jeans, and it's amazing. I find it amazing when I go to these places and you look at these and think, why would anybody chuck these? I get things like beautiful pairs of Acne jeans that are, someone's bought them for $500 and then given them to a charity shop about a year later. I'm thinking, who on earth does this? But it is incredible what you can find. So I'm really excited about what I can do with this vintage denim, with the new technology that's come about that is 100% sustainable. It's amazing.
I love it. I love it. Okay, last word to you. In your field, what design elements or materials are worth preserving, and are there materials that you're excited about?
Well, in the furniture industry, the biggest word has been performance fabrics, to allow people to have luxurious feeling fabrics in their home while they have children and dogs, and all the things that wear down a family home. So performance fabrics are interesting because they're basically pop bottles. They're recycled into incredible fabrics. Most of you are probably sitting on something that is considered a performance fabric. Doesn't stain, doesn't wrinkle as much, all the good stuff. It cleans very easily. But again, is it good for the long-term stability of our planet? And when you look at a really durable fabric on a really beautiful but durable piece of furniture, maybe it is. Maybe if you choose the right fabric, because that's why we get tired of our jeans, right? Is the color of the fabric or what it is, and we want something newer. But if you really know what you're buying and wanting, if you really work with a designer, maybe they'll help you for long term, then your investment becomes an investment in your home. Imagine owning a sofa for 35 years. Nobody does that anymore. Our grandmothers did it because they had plastic on it for the first 20. But at the end of the day, look at how many in the older days, in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, people kept their furniture until they died.
You're 100% right. If you buy better, if you buy a better quality garment, I talk about that. Vivienne Westwood said, one of her most famous quotes was, we should buy less, buy better, choose well, and wear it for life. And yeah, she was 100% right. And if you look at these sofas, and I bought a really, really beautiful sofa about 20 years ago, and I've recovered the bottom part of it. But at 20 years later, every time I sit down, it was very expensive. It was about £15,000 or whatever at the time. That's nothing. Maybe, but if I've sat on it, it's probably 50 cents every time I sit on it. It's going down to 20 cents next week because I've sat on it every day for 20 years.
That's what happened.
Or whatever. Yeah, if you have something really beautiful and the fabric is durable, then it is more sustainable to have fabrics.
We do the same disposal with cars, right? Our car still works, but the neighbor's got a different one. So it's time for us to get a new one. And what do we do with the old one? Well, luckily we don't throw them in, we don't throw them away, but we do that with clothing. We do it with furniture. Once in a while, I go on the marketplace and I punch in Montauk Sofa, and there's somebody selling a Montauk sofa on Facebook Marketplace, and they still want $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 for it. So that makes me very proud. It makes me proud to know that people consider that there's value in what they've bought. And if you buy good, and like you said, good quality, and you're choosing smartly for who you are as well in fashion or home, it's going to last you a long time. So that's how we think that sustainability can happen. It's just by if your furniture outlives you, if your wardrobe outlives you, how fabulous is that? No argument.
100% right. I mean, if you go on Vinted now, I don't know whether you guys have it over here, but Vinted is now the largest retailer in France. If you go on there today, there is 100 million pieces of Zara on Vinted right now. But there's not 100 million pieces of Dior or LVMH because of, but there is as many pieces that have been built, but people don't sell quality items like that. People keep them for life. But, and this is the problem with fast fashion and sportswear. And the advertising, they brainwash us. Everybody just spends all day. You get on the tube or the bus or wherever, on a plane, everyone's looking at their phone. No one reads newspapers or magazines anymore. They just look at the phone, and every second post is an advert. And we're being brainwashed by these billion-dollar corporations into buying things that we don't need. And you know, that's the unfortunate thing. And our mission is to try and persuade people that that's not the future.
It's so inspirational. Thank you both so much. We're going to end on that note, but now we're going to do rapid fires. So how this is going to work is the audience members, who has my number one? Who did I give my number one question to? Oh, hi, handsome guy, George. Okay, George is going to ask the question, answer it as George, because George is a designer and knows everything. And then Karl and Stuart will also answer. Okay, George, over to you. You have to speak really loud.
Okay. What's one design trend you wish would disappear forever?
Okay, so the question is, what's one design trend you wish would disappear forever? George, what's your answer?
My answer is celeb collabs, quote unquote. And I would say, in a related note, the engineered controversy around them. I'm thinking of, like, recently Sydney Sweeney for American Eagle. Like, a lot of this stuff is just kind of cheeseball, and we fall prey for it, and then they get all this press around it. So I think that is something that can die forever.
Yeah, but apparently she has great genes.
That
Stuart.
voice, that gravelly voice.
Yes.
Polyester. I hate polyester, and that is, you know, in I don't know, the last 10 years has become, you know, all these huge corporations, they push polyester, and unfortunately for me, I know it's meant to be quick fire, but polyester is the worst fabric in the world. It was invented, it's made from, I know we're in Calgary, but it's made from oil and gas. It's basically plastic, and our skin is the largest organ on our body. Every single pore breathes. And if you wear a polyester shirt, you are wearing a plastic bag. And you know, would anyone in this room wear polyester knickers or polyester underwear, pants, or whatever? But women wear polyester bras, and the rise of infertility that has happened in the last 30, 40 years, they are now directly linking that to polyester in underwear, you know, because most people wear like sports bras and sports pants, and they have lycra in them. I have to wear 100% cotton underwear, because if it has any lycra in it, it's incredibly uncomfortable. I'm allergic to polyester, and I think nearly every human on the planet is. So yeah, polyester, we need to get rid of that.
That's a good one.
I'm no different. Those bed sheets
Oh,
that are supposed to feel like soft cotton or linen, and they're made of polyester.
even 15%, I can't sleep. I'm scratching all night.
Done with
We've
it.
been in a cheap hotel, and I've looked at the content. I'm like, oh, I can't sleep on this. I've had to put clothes on to go back to bed.
Quite often in our world, they call it jersey cotton. And it's nothing about jersey at all. It's about plastic bottles that have been spun into what you're going to sleep around, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's the only luxury we have in life is going to bed and going to sleep to get away from the world. So do it properly, right? And make yourself more comfortable.
Okay, sorry to polyester.
Yeah.
Who's my number two? Number two.
Yeah.
David, other handsome guy. David, what's your question?
My question is vintage or futuristic? We've heard a lot about vintage. We've heard a lot about quality and craftsmanship. I'm an architect. In architecture, we're seeing a lot of futuristic. Can you hear a little bit about style-wise across the spectrum of design, vintage or futuristic?
Are you vintage or futuristic, David?
Oh, I'm a design diversity guy. If it's well designed, if it's well done, if it's in good materials, I'll take anything. So
I love how I told everyone this was a rapid fire and designers are giving like paragraphs. Okay, vintage or futuristic?
Well, I, of course, am going to say vintage, but because I believe the future is in the past. So, so I believe in futuristic design, but I believe that futuristic design, and most designers, and I try and teach this to my kids and students that come and work with me, real designers don't sit in a room and just try and invent something from their imagination. Proper designers look to the past and then create something really beautiful. And there are designers that in the 60s and 70s, like Courrèges, that did very futuristic designs, which I love. So, and I love in buildings and in product, I love futuristic designs, but none of it really lasts the length of time of something that is really beautiful, and fabrics wise, and for me, everything. The way that things were made in the old days, fabrics wise, and tailoring or natural fibers, that there is no way on earth that they can design any futuristic fibers that I'm ever going to want to utilize, other than the greatest natural fibers. So yeah, it's got to be vintage.
Futuristic. Because nothing has ever been designed unnew. Even things from the past were new in its time. Fashion, furniture, buildings, they were all futuristic people that were inventing this idea or this look that then became historical, that when we learned to appreciate it later. So I personally love antiques, but I look back at the story, especially around Art Deco, to say, who were these modern thinkers back in the 1900s? And they were futuristic, but now it's considered traditional. But it's not traditional because the originality of it was futuristic. Nothing is ever born from nothing.
Yeah, you're right. Vintage isn't what it used to be.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay, who is my number 3? A reminder for rapid fire, very quick. Who's my number 3? Kaz, other handsome guy. I swear I chose women also.
Number 3, minimalist or maximalist?
No, Kaz, you're an architect.
I'm an architect. I'm minimalist through and through.
Oh, it's easy.
So I quite well. Yeah, I can show you what I'm. So I quite like the minimalist sort of the idea of it. So so one of the things that we've come up with is something where you arrive wearing a normal, classic kind of vintage looking piece, and then you turn around and you're Elton John. So there's kind of like a mix of minimalist and maximalist. I love them both.
Yeah. Maximalists, because we can't live, sorry, buddy, we can't live in spar homes. We're humans. We need our things. But maximalist to you might be very different to me. Some people, it's a big design trend right now in home decorating to fill the walls and and they're calling it, all sorts of different names. But ultimately, it's just surrounding yourself with things that comfort you. And during times like this, we need that.
Okay, my 4th designer who knows everything. We're out there. Hi, Catherine. She really does.
So what is one thing in your closet that you could not part with? And apropos of our summer weather, I have an umbrella and it's very robust. It never fails me. It operates really well, but it has a braided leather handle and I appreciate it every time I use it. Beautiful answer.
Lovely. I have when I was about 8 years old, I'm just meant to be rapid fire. Okay, I have a pair of red leather garment dyed handmade boots, and I'm going to be wearing them tomorrow. They look like they're made from tomato skins. When you see them, you'll understand why I love them. I fell in love with them when I was 8 years old, when I saw David Bowie wearing a pair on Top of the Pops. And I found these about 4 years ago in Italy, and I just absolutely love them. When I was a kid, I persuaded my mum to.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, I know. But when I was a kid, I persuaded my mum to save up and buy me a pair of red leather boots. And I polished them every night and slept with them under my pillow.
Oh.
I was like so in love.
Lovely. This jacket. Very early on, 25 years ago, I was on television. Nobody recognized me off television unless I was wearing a navy blazer. So wherever I want to go and be recognized, I wear the navy blazer. I've owned 3 in my life. I wear them to the ground, and then I get a new one. So I'm living with that. I'm living with this right now.
I love it. I'm going to answer this. My Jacket, which is a local Calgary band, Parts and Labor. Okay, number 5, Sarah. There you are.
And final question, I think. What is your design guilty pleasure? Sorry, Karl, IKEA.
I'm an IKEA girly too. Sorry, Carl.
I
I
think
knew it was going to be spicy.
I think for me, it is it's the sequins, and it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I never really. I had a friend of mine who's based in Nashville who he makes virtually everything out of sequined fabrics, and I used to tease him that that we don't have that many ice skaters in England. And then when I started this about 2 years ago, I had these really beautiful vintage Vietnam War era shirts, and it wasn't until I started adding the sequined sort of fabric on it that gives you that reveal where you've got this, you look like you're on the playground in the morning and you look like you're on the stage in the evening or in the disco, and so the sequins is my guilty pleasure.
Mine is mohair velvet. I think it's the most luxurious thing in the world. In my 3-hour adventure to the charity shop, I bought a very large mohair round tablecloth to fill my table in Montreal. So for me, pillows, sofas, if I ever am lucky enough to get a Montauk sofa, it will be in a mohair-like fabric. To me, it just means everything.
I love mohair. I've had a woman in
Rapid fire,
Cornwall.
yeah. We're in
I
rapid
know.
fire.
Listen, I'm
Yeah,
Scottish.
and I love sequins, but we can talk.
I'm gonna show you the mohair sweater tomorrow. You're gonna love it.
Really?
These two will both be around for the evening. Thank you both. Thank you. Thank you to the audience. That was wonderful. Thank you for designing a feature so beautifully and with intention. Happy Design Week, Calgary!